All right, hey, welcome back everyone to another episode of Show and Tell What the Hell. And this is a Shockwave edition. Now, the whole point of this video is not to necessarily transform him or talk about his features or anything like that, but rather to compare him to the other Shockwave figures that I have, and also give you an idea of how he scales compared to the rest of them, and if you, I don't know, this may help you decide whether you want to buy him or not. Now, I just picked this guy up, already messed around with him, and we're gonna take him out of his big whatever this thing is called. It looks like a weird fan mode, but this is actually how he's supposed to come. This is how he comes in the box. This is how he's shown. He's sold as a leader. Okay, he's sold as a leader figure. I ended up spending him. I ended up spending about $54.99 at Target, and I have some very mixed thoughts about this figure. Now, I'm gonna say first of all, I like him. I just had to pick him up. I don't know if I'm happy that I picked him up, but I just had to. Now, we are, if you want a Shockwave toy, this is not really Shockwave here. When you start taking out the pieces of armor, when you get him into his, I don't know, normal mode, I don't know what they want to call it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's pull this out here. Am I going to break it? Am I going to break it? Okay. So, and I wanted to do a comparison and just kind of maybe shed some light on some of the concerns that people may have for this figure, a leader class figure. And yeah, he does have these feet. Now, this is another thing. Now, if I wanted to add some extra height, I could add these onto him, but they just kind of stick out a lot. So, now I do also have some possible solutions and some ideas. Now, this is your Shockwave figure. Great looking figure. Not gonna lie, I do like the way he's put together. I like the way I like the color of the fists, that light violet, very light violet gray. And he does have a very G1 aesthetic, but has a lot of the details that we've come to be familiarized with the War for Seibertron Seige line. So yeah, very cool figure. I'm not gonna lie. This is great. Good articulation, all that stuff. It looks like Shockwave, and great light piping as well. This does look massive, right? This does look good. Okay, so let's bust out some stuff here. Let's give you an idea. Now, some of these figures I just pulled out of wherever I had them displayed at, and we're gonna bring out first to the table, and my apologies, he is pretty dusty and missing a few parts because I wanted him to make look a little bit more like Shockwave. This is your Energon, what was it, Shock Blast, that was made to look like Shockwave, but this for a while was my classics, or my G1 Shockwave on the shelf next to Megatron. Look at the size of his figure. Look at it compared to that. Look at the dimensions. Look at the different, I guess, the way the body is all solidly put together. The plastic quality is pretty good, too. He just looks like a tougher dude, too. I mean, maybe it's the feet. Maybe it's these giant feet. I don't know what it is. But I really like the look of it. I really like the way he was built together. Now, of course, this does not come without its faults. This massive thing that he had right here could not be articulated. Now, it had sound. This was a Voyager that actually had sound to it, and a missile that I lost somewhere around. Yeah, really got that Shockwave vibe. Oops, sorry about that. So we're going to put this guy back right here, and we're going to talk about him some more. Now, next on the list, another favorite of mine that also eventually became my my G1 Shockwave was from the Prime line. Another pretty cool version of Shockwave. that I liked a lot. Also big. Also had that problem. Had just this weird arm thing. It was a little bit more articulated. Still didn't have the had the gimmick right there. Still didn't have the. It still wasn't G1 enough, but kind of combined a little bit of that movie aesthetic. That's what Prime kind of was. Tiny bit of the Bayformer with some G1 homage there, but yeah, I mean, this figure was pretty cool. Also, a Voyager. Now, I'm not going to get into the alt modes because that's just going to take way too long. It's going to take another 40 minutes just to get them all transformed and compare those. Unless you all really want me to in the future, I can. But I think people are more interested in seeing what the bot mode looks like. Otherwise, everything, I gotta say, everything that Shockwave turns into, most of the time looks like a big hunk of purple crap. So, and we have to use our imaginations. So let's get him next to, of course, we don't need to really see, you know, I don't need to tell anyone that the Legends Class 1 is definitely going to be smaller than this one. But here's how it scales in front of him. Yeah, there you go. Now let's do some interesting things here. I'm busting out the Cyberverse Shockwave, which I bought immediately. I actually liked him. Now, this guy scale, he's at $14.99. And yeah, these are not the biggest figures as well, but he's really not that. This is supposed to be a deluxe, and this is supposed to be a Voyager. My problem with this figure is one thing about Shockwave that I've always appreciated is that unlike a lot of the other robots that had like expressions and facial features, grimaces, this guy just had like this dead eye, you know, and that's kind of like Hal, you know, Space Odyssey, just had that, you know, heartless, cold demeanor, which reflected well in the Marvel Comics and a little bit in the G1 Sunbow cartoon. But this one added a little bit of like a brow of sorts. So that took me out a little bit, but I do like that this is this can become a drone. Now there is a Voyager scale one with a giant massive arm, also with that same brow, but I actually looked at it at the store and it was the same size as this one here. So let's pull out another one here. Now, this is from the previous war for Seibertron, or Siege on Seibertron. I'm excited to bust this one out. Now, this one I was disappointed that he was so tiny. So I guess in retrospect, this is not the smallest Shockwave we've had, but this guy definitely had a real nice, sleek, angular look to him, and looked pretty damn menacing to me. Very interesting design choice. And pretty cool overall. Now, here is our surprise guest. I actually don't own, at the moment, do not own the original Shockwave. That's something I'd like to see re-released. Nor do I own any of the masterpieces, but I do got something very interesting here for you guys. Here is, oops, he doesn't even fit on the screen. That's Galactic Man, and people in the community know him better as Shockwave. Because back in the day, every now and then you'd run to a Radio Shack and you'd find one of these guys here. So let me just I'm trying to pull him as back as possible, but I'll get I'll move the camera just so you can get a better look at Shockwave and see what he looks like there. There you go. So Shockwave there. So we're going to put Shockwave there. Now, last but certainly not least, I forget. Now, this is my bad, folks. I forget the actual name of this, so you can look them up. But I'm sure if you have the Google thing that people have, if you have the power of Google, you can find that there's a Walgreens exclusive Shockwave. And there we have him, right there. This has come to be one of my favorite Shockwave figures. He just looks very, I don't know, very streamlined. Again, he turns into another big purple mess. In fact, aside from this one and this one, these are the only ones that turn into laser guns or cannons. Otherwise, Shockwave turns into some, I don't know, they're trying to make some sort of ship or a tank with him, or in this case, a spider. This one, though, for some reason, this one just has this really sleek and, I already used the word sleek, but to describe another Shockwave. But this is, again, this is more of a streamlined. This gives you the best of Shockwave with a very G1 look to it. And now, this also is a little bit taller than this fellow over here, and just about the same height as this. This one ran me about $20. But I'm gonna do something a little. I'm gonna do something that's maybe call it cheating. But if you look at one of my previous videos, in fact, one of my first videos, I was messing around with a add-on kit that I purchased on eBay. I don't know if they're available anymore. I hope they are, and I'll show you why. Hopefully, I get this on right. There is a fella on eBay that was selling some 3D printed parts that you could add to this particular Shockwave to not only increase his height, but to give him knee articulation, which was the major problem of this Walgreens exclusive. And this becomes Shockwave. Now, Shockwave is that kind of character where either he's going to be the same size as Megatron or taller than Megatron, because a lot of people had the Shockwave figure, and they always saw him as a larger character that stood over the other ones, and just his lankiness itself gave him that appearance also. So I wasn't concerned with scale, and I have to say I was very disappointed to find out that he was as small as he is. He's not even a Voyager class almost. He's like kind of in between a Deluxe and a Voyager. And just to give you an idea, let's see, here's a recent Deluxe that is almost about that size. I don't know. Maybe I'm not giving it enough props. I do like it. I do like it. It's just that it just seems for Shockwave, he's a bit small. I would have liked to see him just a tad bit, especially for a leader class size. Now, if you are the kind of person that just wants a badass Shockwave in your collection, you want to put him next to Megatron, I try to see if I could find this the Walgreens Shockwave, along with these extensions right here. It will give you a badass, massive Shockwave. Otherwise, if you really want to get that detailed and you want you want to complete all that that line, then go ahead and get this. Now, I'm going to add the little boots just to see how much of a boost he gets. And it does look a little silly, like he's got clown shoes, clown wave. And that's just about it. Maybe a little bit. Maybe if you're able to disguise it, and maybe when he's riding his magic surfboard thing. It depends on what you want with a Shockwave figure. If you just want the character, if you want a good representation of Shockwave that doesn't necessarily have to be totally G1, I'd go with maybe this one right here. This one all around is a very fun toy. Very durable, very massive. This one, for the price point, is pretty damn decent too. And I'm also considering getting that other Voyager too, just because it's the same height as this guy, but way, way cheaper. But that's just that's if I want to get another Shockwave. Yeah, do we want to see what this guy looks like with a Shockwave, holding Shockwave? Sure, we can do that. We can do that. And while I transform this, I'd be very curious to know what you all think about this. Am I being a little too harsh with it? I've seen a lot of positive feedback on the Shockwave figure. I just feel that the price point is just a tad bit excessive for this. I think they should have kept it as a Voyager and not have used so many parts. I think it's just kind of a cop-out. And let's see. I'm not going to get this right. I always forget the... Oh, man. Sometimes I suck when I'm under pressure when I try to transform some stuff here. Let me pause this just real quick. There you go. Kind of sort of got it. I just forgot that the legs actually extend further. That was throwing me off. Yeah, right. Even I got the arms wrong here. Don't you know anything about transforming? You don't even own the original Shockwave. Kind of feel around with these. Well, kind of got it there. And yeah, I mean, I guess he does look kind of cool with that on. But yeah, I mean, it's up to you if you want to buy this. Really, I mean, it's like it's not something. I don't think it's a mandatory buy. I think the Megatron definitely. I haven't picked him up yet, but I'd like to get him. But the other thing I was gonna throw in this video is what I would like to see a third-party company do. Okay, so let's start getting some ideas together, right? What do you all think? My idea was to get some sort of I think if you gave him any more of a leg extension, he'd look a little too lanky. But if you gave him some sort of foot addition, something maybe this size, but not as long, and maintain the overall look of a foot, even if it's a little bit bigger, that might do some help. I don't know if you can do anything with his waist. I don't know if that would help, but they may have to pick up the figures, these third-party companies, and mess around with it as well. But I think that could definitely, give him, another half inch would definitely be an improvement, especially since I've seen him next to the Megatron, and he's just slightly smaller. Now, here's the deal. Hasbro is saying they're going with they're really going with scale. Now, to me, Shockwave seemed way taller than Megatron in the cartoon. I could be wrong. And he's way taller than Megatron when it comes to the G1 mold. So that is, I don't know. I feel kind of like we're losing out a little bit. And if a third party does it, I'd be happy. But I think this just convinced me to just get a Masterpiece Shockwave after all. I know it's going to be, I'm going to shell out a lot of money for that, but I think it's going to be worth it. Overall, I guess I'm okay with this. I would regret it if I didn't buy it, but at the same time, I wasn't totally excited. Now, I do look forward to getting that Prime, or Magnus rather, and the rest of the gang, especially Soundwave. I'm looking forward to getting a Voyager G1 looking Soundwave. Anyway, sound off below. Let me know what you all think, because this is, something that, as you can tell, I am somewhat of a Shockwave fan. Let me know what you think about this guy over here, the Walgreens one. Let me know what you think about this guy here. I'd be very curious to know. And if you haven't already and you'd like to see more videos like this, go ahead and subscribe. I'm not saying that I really want a whole lot of people to subscribe. I'm just saying that if you want to see more videos like this, it does help to subscribe, and it encourages me to make more of this nonsense. Anyway, folks, take care, and we will see you later on.